buy low. Let's buy low. Dave, who we buying low on?
I think Josh Jacobs is a good buy low. Averaging 4.6 yards per carry on the season. I think he's the better running back in Green Bay. I know that on Sunday's show, I was nervous because he was basically splitting carries with Emmanuel Wilson, but game script got out of hand. And he still played more than Emmanuel Wilson. And I think there will be games where Green Bay will be able to run the ball effectively, and Josh Jacobs will be the one that handles the majority of that. He obviously hasn't scored this season. That's why his fantasy points haven't been that good. And the schedule coming up looks awfully good for Jacobs. So I've tried to get him in a couple of the leagues where I don't already have him, but I do think that he's somebody that fantasy managers should try and pry away from angry, frustrated people who took Josh Jacobs in that 2-3 range on draft day.
And I would just say in general, the schedule looks great for the Packers. This is a team that they should be pretty good for fantasy. They should score some points in the 2 games that Jordan Love's played. They've been pretty good for fantasy. And they've got, the Rams, the Cardinals, the Texans, which isn't great, the Jaguars, the Lions coming up before their bye. So I can't call Jordan Love a buy low by any means. If you want to call him a buy high or not call him anything, that's fine. But I didn't think good times hopefully are ahead for the Green Bay Packers. So Dave leads with Josh Jacobs. And Heath, how about you?
I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. It's been a tough start to the season. I think he's currently QB 12 or QB 13, but he's had to play without A.J. Brown for a couple of games, without A.J. Brown and Devante Smith for another game. And you want to talk about a fantastic schedule. He still gets to play the Giants, the Commanders twice, the Bengals, the Rams, the Panthers. It's like he's going to have so many 30-point fantasy games the rest of the season. Go by, and he's going into his bye week. The person who has him on his team probably hasn't won very many games. Help that guy win this week. Go get Jalen Hurts.
I tried trading Lamar Jackson and like a bench player for Jalen Hurts and Zach Moss, thinking, okay, maybe this guy's going to buy into Lamar Jackson. He'll say Jalen Hurts on a buy, get him off my team. Didn't work. He rejected the trade offer, but I might try again with a different player to go with each guy. I wouldn't do it straight up. I'd rather have Jackson.
Yeah.
But boy, like I'm with Heath all the way on this one.
I don't really want to trade Lamar Jackson away. I think he might. Things are going so well for him. I mean, how is it that they add Derrick Henry and he's averaging 70 yards rushing per game still?
Yeah.
Because he's throwing 15. Yeah. No, he's amazing. But even in the first 2 games, like week 1, he threw a lot and he rushed for 120 yards or whatever. Jackson is playing at such a high level, and he was playing at such a high level last year too. And just in terms of air yards still being really high, but completion percentage being better, and just showing obviously he's a better player. He's getting more yak per completion now than he has in the past, which is nice.
I was looking, or somebody had tweeted out the MVP odds, and I don't know if you've seen these or not, Adam.
Oh, but he's the MVP.
Holmes, I think, is plus 230, has by far the best odds to win the MVP.
Holmes, you said?
Wow. Josh Allen is second at plus 400, and Lamar Jackson is third at plus 800. This is after the Ravens and Bills game.
No, he's the MVP. I'd vote for him today. But they're 2-2, so
right.
Hurt, and you got Mahomes 4-0, Allen 3-1. Okay, so we got Josh Jacobs, we got Jalen Hurts. Now I'm just gonna say, Garrett Wilson. We got to talk about the Devante Adams stuff, right? So let's talk about that right now and what it means for Devante Adams.
I love how you say Garrett Wilson's name and you go, we've got to talk about Devante Adams.
Obviously, if he's going to get traded, you got to put the Jets on the list, right? You got to at least put him on the list. But I don't even think Garrett Wilson's schedule is all that great. It gets better, but it's not all that great going forward. And I hate what he said yesterday about really the lack of creativity on the offense, saying his route tree isn't what it even was last year. That look, maybe it's not the worst thing. But basically what he said was they keep things very simple and they just have to go out and execute. But it also seemed like he was lamenting that he sees other teams doing creative things offensively and the Jets are not doing it. So
that didn't seem like it's exactly what he was doing. He even referenced other tems doing more creative things.
No, he said that, but I don't know that he was disappointed in it. It seemed like he was disappointed in that being the case.
It'd be a strange conversation to have if he was happy with the way things were going.
Okay, fair. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but yes, it's okay. So what kind of what round would you draft Garrett Wilson in right now if you're drafting again?
4?
I can tell you where he landed on the trade chart this week, and then we'll have an
5?
exact idea.
Oh wow, 4 or 5. That's low.
Yeah, but that's going to be right about the range. He's 41st overall without considering quarterbacks. So he would probably be close to the 4 or 5 turn.
Yeah.
Maybe a little before then. Let's call it 44th.
And where's Devante Adams?
He's slightly lower as of now.
So the update here is Adams could get traded. There's a report that he requested a trade, that they're now looking to trade. They're now fielding offers. So do you want him to get traded?
Hell yeah.
I'm going to express a little bit more caution, just because like veteran wide receivers changing teams midseason has not worked out very often. And there is a chance that he goes to a team where there's just not a huge target share available.
How many can you think of? Because Amari Cooper was good for Dallas. Who are some wide receivers that have changed teams midseason? Like Claypool, bums like that. There haven't really been that many.
There's not a lot of future Hall of Famers, probably. Randy Moss a couple of times.
When Randy went to Minnesota from Tennessee, or was it the other way around? It was Minnesota to Tennessee. I don't remember him being particularly great.
I don't remember a lot of examples of this. I'm honest.
You know why? Because there aren't a lot of midseason trades involving. There aren't a lot of midseason trades. The league is trying to change that. They keep pushing the trade deadline back. This year, it's before week 10, I believe. It's on November 5th. So there's definitely going to be some more action as teams start to fall out of contention. And I think any team that was in on Brandon Aiyuk that's competitive after 4 weeks is going to be in on Devante Adams. How fun would it be if he went to Washington? How interesting would it be if he went to Pittsburgh? And that might be one of the places that Heath was talking about. Washington might be one of the places that Heath is talking about. But the Jets make a ton of sense, and I'm sure Aaron Rodgers would love to be back with his old buddy there. And that would make for a very interesting offense. It would certainly make them difficult to defend.
And I hadn't even thought about Pittsburgh. How awful would that be?
That might be the worst one. It really might be like that could kill Pickens. Like it could turn George Pickens into nothing because Adams is going to command targets there. Or it could be that they just run the ball a lot. There's matchups.
Kill both of them.
They'll be easy. It could kill both. They could really cannibalize both their numbers. So that could be one of them.
Where's Adams on the trade chart? Let's start with that.
He's behind Wilson, and some of it has to do with the fact that he might not be playing in the next week or two. So, right. And there's no guarantee that he even does get traded because, like I said, players just don't get traded mid-season very often. He's actually one spot behind Garrett Wilson and one spot ahead of Brandon Aiyuk. Talking about low 20s among wide receivers.
Okay.
Lower for me.
Trey Tucker's 22% roster. Jacoby Myers, I'll check his roster percentage, but it's just something to keep in mind.
Pretty high.
It was 75-ish%. Now it's 77% for Jacoby Myers. So something to keep in mind going forward for the Raiders. All right. Before we go to break, do you guys want to give me another buy low or so?
Buy low or so?
Or another one or so in the buy low?
How risky do you want to get with your buy lows, Adam?
Go ahead.
I think Anthony Richardson's a buy low.
Okay, Anthony Richardson.
Okay, and as I don't know if I want to trade for him to be my lone quarterback the rest of the way, but if you're unhappy with your QB situation, we still know what his upside is. I thought he looked okay on 4 dropbacks against the Steelers in week number 4. Maybe there's a chance for him to make some progress and to bounce back from that horrible start he had.
And I'll say, I think we said him last week, but sometimes these guys stay on our buy low list for 3 or 4 weeks before they turn into league winners. I'll say Bijan Robinson still. And it might be even a little bit easier after a bad game. And now he's got the injury designation next to his name with a hamstring injury. I still think Bijan's going to be a top 5 running back the rest of the season.
And I don't think people are going to let go of Bijan as at low value. They're still going to expect first round value for him.
Well, I mean, they're definitely going to take Kamara, Barkley, Henry, Kyron Right.
All running backs I'd rather have than Bijan anyway.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, like, we're up to 5 running backs now. There weren't 5 running backs drafted in the first round.
Right, but do you think that Bijan can leapfrog them?
Yes.
Do you think Bijan can finish the year as a top 3 fantasy running back?
I would rest of season. Yes, I would still take Bijan over the veterans that I said I would sell high last week.
Okay.
Yeah. I brought up Ken Walker for Bijan. I don't know where people are on that. I really want to talk about Seattle, which we'll do when we talk about the sell highs. I'm not going to say they are, he is a sell high, but I got some interesting stuff because I got a lot of pushback on it when I was talking, I think it was on yesterday's show, about how Monday night was a little discouraging for Ken Walker and people thought I was crazy. And I'll just explain where I'm coming from on that because I do have some things to back it up. But then again, there's a lot to love about Seattle. And I'll just tell you right now, they were last in plays last year. They're third in plays this year. And that right there is just a huge boost to everyone on the team. But I think they're one of the most fascinating teams right now. So I look forward to talking about them. I'm sorry, any last 30 seconds on another buy low? Because we've given you Josh Jacobs, Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson, Bijan Robinson. You don't have to have any others, but if you do, now's the time.
I'll give you a list. Kyler Murray, Brandon Aiyuk is still a buy low. I think T. Higgins is a buy low. I'm seeing Christian Watson dropped in leagues. I would stash him if you see him out there. See if you can get him thrown in on a deal. And then Tyreek Hill. So that last little throwaway comment. Why not, man? It sounds like Tua's got a chance to come back.
Coming back. Yeah,
I definitely think Tua's coming back. I just think you might get Tyreek Hill for 1 month, and then it gets cold.
I'm not too worried about that. I mean, we could look into that. I feel like he was fine last year, no?
Well, not in the game against the Chiefs where it was record-setting cold.
Yeah,
like at Lambeau in a night game, November 28th.
That might not be that bad. November 28th
in Green Bay, Wisconsin at night.
Adam's going to tailgate in Bermuda shorts.
And then a home game, then at Houston, then San Francisco, and then Week 17's at Cleveland. All right, look, that's a valid point.
It's a terrible playoff schedule.
It is. You're buying low on Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. Okay. See, someone's telling me I'm crazy for being concerned about. Yeah, you're clueless on Walker if you have concerns. All right, look, it's not easy to go out and make the case against someone who just scored 3 touchdowns, but I plan on doing it. We talked about these buy lows. We haven't really talked about who we'd give up for them. So, who would you give up for Brandon Aiyuk? Would you give up Brian Thomas Jr.? Is that an easy call for Brandon Aiyuk?
If you can make that happen, definitely.
I'm nervous about Aiyuk. I know he's going to have
excited about Thomas.
Me too.
Like he's doing the first 4 weeks what I was hoping he would do the last 8 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
Would you give up Zay Flowers
for Aiyuk? Yeah, I think I would.
How about this? We don't know when Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp are going to come back. Would you give up a chance on one of those receivers for Brandon Aiyuk? And remember, you're not getting Aiyuk in all of his crappy games so far. You're getting Aiyuk from this point forward, which, I mean, just basic positive regression you'd think would be good for Brandon Aiyuk, but he's still playing a lot. He's still running a ton of routes. Eventually, he's going to have some big games.
Who is it? Is it Aiyuk? I remember there's at least one player, maybe 2 on the 49ers that has just destroyed the Cardinals. Is it Aiyuk that has the great history against them?
Not sure.
I can double check. Why not?
I got it.
I don't think I would give up. Maybe Puka, because he seems. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd give those guys up. Those guys feel like league winners. Look, if I were, 1-3, maybe. But I just don't think Aiyuk is going to be a league winner this year. Do you?
I think he absolutely has the potential to be.
Without an injury to Debo or Kittle?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were drafting him as such. It's been a weird start to the year. It's let me see. I think I've got it right.
Like he was I don't remember where we were even drafting him because
he was round 3 pick, but I think no, by the end of it he was like around 4, maybe 5 pick because of the holdout. But in the heart of the draft season, I think he was a round 3 pick. Some people were taking around 2.
Oh, here's a good question. Jalapeno ham and cheese croissant or Aiyuk?
Oh God, Aiyuk. Jalapeno ruins everything.
Oh no, jalapeno is fantastic.
What kind of cheese?
Aiyuk does not have great history against Arizona.
15 targets in his last 2 games, and he's averaging 8.3 PPR points.
Okay, guys, I'm getting a little.
I don't think it's sticking, man. I think he can break out of that.
Doesn't seem like we are. Someone asked, would you trade London for Aiyuk?
It's way closer in non-PPR, but no, probably not.
I'm not super excited about either one. Either direction, not either one. I think they're about the same guy.
Would you trade Zach Moss for T. Higgins?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.